25 years ago, an indie drama called Safe hit theaters. It starred Julianne Moore as a suburban housewife with a mysterious viral disease and pushed into self isolation. Does that sound familiar? The film has been called one of the best movies of the 90s. And today, our film critic Rad tells us why Safe hits even harder today. Rad, great to talk to you from home. Now, I remember at the beginning of this quarantine, I, like so many other people, binged the movie Contagion. You say this movie, Safe, is even more relevant than Contagion. Why?
Yeah, well, I mean, and that's not to take away anything from Contagion, which is not only a terrific thriller, but also a very literal and very accurate shakedown of a pandemic's worst case scenario, right? There's a reason Contagion was trending on every platform. Like, it gave people insight into how everyone from everyday citizens to the World Health Organization mobilizes and reacts during a viral outbreak. Yeah, Safe is not that movie. Like, Safe is a domestic melodrama. Safe isn't even about a specific virus, okay? Like, the character Carol White, you never really nailed down what Carol White is reacting to. But the possibilities are there. You know, maybe it's pollution, maybe it's the chemicals that are used in modern products, maybe it's the toxins in our food, or maybe this has more to do with mental health. So really, like, this is a movie that's actually about the anxieties and the fears that an unseen virus or disease or plague can stir up in us as individuals as well as a society.
So the movie came out in 1995, but what's interesting about it is it's set in 1987. Can you
Yeah.
speak to the decision of the filmmakers to set it back then? Was it responding to something particular?
Absolutely. It's set in 1987 because the U.S. was in the throes of two epidemics at that time. The one that Safe is immediately responding to is the AIDS epidemic. At that time, the government kind of actually really dragged their heels when it came to responding to HIV, much in the same way that we see today's government have been slow to act on coronavirus. And one of the conclusions you could draw from 87 is that the reason they dragged their heels is they probably didn't care because at that time they assumed that the AIDS epidemic that was predominantly affecting marginalized communities, right? And that's what we see. When a crisis like this happens, it's the marginalized communities living below the poverty line, say living in cramped apartments, working on the front lines. It's them who are disproportionately affected, which is why we're seeing kind of a disproportionate number of African Americans dying from coronavirus. There's a tendency in pandemics to amplify the disparities that already exist in the world.
I'm watching the B-roll go on the screen as you're talking. I'm seeing a whole lot of white people,
Yeah, yeah.
exclusively white people. Is the theme of class and race and privilege, is that also part and parcel of Safe?
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, look, there's three inciting events that gets the ball rolling and safe. The first is a sneeze. The second is the discovery that someone in Carol's extended social circle has died, and we presume that that might be from AIDS. The third is the arrival of a black couch in her home. I don't know if you caught a sight of the black couch. So Carol ordered a teal couch. The furniture store made a mistake, and the way that Carol reacts to this black couch that has infiltrated her home is very telling. So I was mentioning that there was two
Interesting.
epidemics in 87. The second is the crack epidemic, which is an inciting factor to a lot of the gang violence you saw in LA. That gets mentioned in this
Mhm.
movie. Like, there's this hint that suburban residents in the San Fernando Valley, which is where the movie is set, they should be afraid of how the gang violence in South Central of LA will infect their bubble. And in the end, the movie is really just about that bubble. Like, the movie is about the fear of the world's problems affecting those who live in a social bubble. And the movie asks,
Yep.
who has the privilege to comfortably self-isolate? The movie shows us how certain
All right.
communities.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Well, we got to leave it there, Rad. But thank you so
That's
much for unearthing this gem. I think it's one I got to take a look at this weekend. We appreciate it. Stay safe, my friend.
they to you. Thanks, dude.
Thanks for watching. If you like this, be sure to subscribe here.
And you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.